focus on helping you claim what's rightfully yours, your health, and your freedom. We explore the three main areas of health: the physical realm, the biochemical realm, and the mental and emotional realm. We also explore all the areas of lifestyle we can find that will help you live more abundantly, regardless of where you're starting. And remember, in life, you'll either make excuses or create results. You choose. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Hant, and I'm glad to be with you here today. Make sure to head on down to the show notes and click on the link to join our tribe of human-powered life heroes, where we'll update you on new shows, events, product launches, and so much more. Now, it's time to enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Human Powered Life Podcast. We actually have a return guest who's been on Lifestyle Locker Radio a couple times. This is David Wood. I'm just going to say something quick before we let him chime in. This guy's been an evolution of himself. He's been creating content. He's been helping people transform their lives as a coach. And I can't wait to talk about what he's up to now in his own personal transformation, if you will. So David, welcome.
Thanks, mate. It's good to see you again. We're making a habit of this.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, good things happen with repetition. So,
nice.
So if you don't mind, just give us the little, the backstory, the little synopsis of, where we were and, lead up to where we are currently and like what you're doing now that's so different, or maybe even not different, more aligned with your focus or your purpose, where we are.
Well, where I have been, and I think there's a thread through the last 25 years, is helping people to identify what's actually happening with them. Like, what are your desires that are being hidden? What are the tolerations that you've squished down? What do you really want to create in the world? Because we're creatures of habit. I just realized my mic's all the way over there. We're creatures of habit, and we just get lost in patterns and social media and whatever, and we're just like day to day. Let's break out of that, because what I don't want is when you do get to that moment where it's time to leave this earth and you're on your deathbed, you're looking back, I don't want you to say, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd spoken up more. I wish I'd gotten out of my comfort zone. I wish I'd gone for it. I wish I'd spoken up and said, I love you more often. I don't want that for anybody. So I'm beating the drum it's almost like die before you die. What if you had 5 years to live? What if you were given that today? What would you change about your life? And I get really interested in the answer to that. So I've been doing that for 20 something years. The thing that's changed recently is I'm launching a book, and it's called Mouse in the Room, because the elephant isn't alone. And it's definitely about addressing the elephant in the room, but many creatures in the room are much more subtle than that. And we need to address those too. And I call them mice. And so that's new for me. We're going to be holding a launch party on June 13. And I want to make some noise about mouse naming, because I believe that if we get the world being a little more revealed and identifying what's actually happening and then name it, we come into connection. We build trust. We build confidence in ourselves. Our life gets better, and people want to do business with us. They won't even know why. They'll just know, I trust this person. So mouse naming is the gateway to a whole new world.
Yeah. So let's step back then. So what is this? What is it? What is the mouse? Like, how are we identifying this mouse? We know, like, everybody's always talking about the elephant in the room. And you mentioned, there are smaller, subtle creatures that are in the room. How would you differ? Because I guess most people would have an understanding what the elephant in the room is.
Yeah, right.
What's the mouse in the room?
So the elephant is something, it's obvious. That's why we call it an elephant. It's right there. You see it, I see it. If I came to this interview with blood on my face, didn't say anything, it'd be just like weird, because attention's on it. So a great leadership move at any time is to name an elephant in the room. If there's a bunch of noise going on and you're running a meeting, there's a noise in the next room, address the damn elephant. Because otherwise people's attention is on it. And once you name it, okay, no, there's a lot of noise. This is going to be going on for 2 or 3 hours. We're just going to focus and get our job done. Boom, right? That's an elephant. But what if I don't know if the other people see it? What if it's not obvious? Something personal about me. It could be a thought, a body sensation, or an emotion that I've got. We are used to squishing these down. I'll give you an example. A couple of days ago, I was doing an interview and podcast host said, "How you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing fine. And right now I'm really tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm really tired. And I'm here and I'm ready to do a great interview." And then she said something about her experience. She's like, "Oh, wow, I'm kind of glad to hear that because I'm exhausted too." And we bonded over that. And then I actually had more energy once it was named. I did an interview an hour ago and the podcast host she was just naming mice left, right, and center. She said, "I have a lot of social anxiety. So I'm really nervous right now. My hands are sweating." And I was like, "Wow, I feel closer to you." And she said, "And hearing what you just said has me relax more." And I'm like, "Oh," so she was sharing who she was and it brought us into connection and we felt bonded. And then we had a rocking interview. So those are just a couple of examples of small mice that we might not even notice ourselves because we're tunnel vision on what we want to try and do.
Yeah.
But when we skip over that, we create disconnection because people just, what you're saying doesn't match what's going on. So there's dissonance and they don't know what's going on. They just know something's a bit off and maybe I don't want to work with this person or maybe I don't want to hire this person or buy from this person. So some people might hear this mouse in the room and go, "Oh, it's all about self-help and growth and whatever." Yes, it is. But don't mistake that. Don't think that doesn't translate to business success. I believe a lot of the success I've had in business comes from the people that trust me and like me and want to work with me. And I really think that that's a lot of that's due to I share even the difficult things so that I'm revealed. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is a good person. This is someone I want to work with. This is someone whose book I would endorse. Okay, yes, I'll write the forward to that." I have a lot of goodwill in the bank because of mouse naming.
So just so how I'm understanding it is, would it be similar to sharing maybe some vulnerabilities about yourself?
Yeah. Often it's vulnerable. That's why it hasn't come out yet. The mind is like, "Oh, just keep that to yourself." Here's a business example. When I had a chance to sit next to Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup at an event, that was a huge thing for me. I was like, "Oh, I'm sitting next to Jack Canfield," because 30 other people were trying to do it. And I managed to get that seat. And then I said to him, "I have a bold request. This is a desire mouse, right? This thing I want. Would you be open to looking at my book and writing the forward to the book? Would you be open to it? Seeing if it's worth putting your name on?" And it paused. And I said, "And I want to be up front." And this was very scary for me. "I want to be up front. I have asked Richard Branson. And if he says yes, I'm going to go with that. So this is a bold request. Would you be willing to be my backup if he says no?" Now, come on, 9 out of 10 times, you're not going to share that mouse.
Yeah.
But he cracked a joke. He said, "Well, you're going alphabetically. I understand that." And we laughed and, we had a good time about it. And he said, "Well, send me a draft, if he says no, and I'll take a look." One thing led to another. Richard Branson said no. Jack did say yes. And he wrote the forward to the book. And I like to think that it's that kind of risk, that kind of courage that led to me being nominated to the Transformational Leadership Council with people like Jack and John Gray, and Marianne Williamson was a member. I don't think that would happen if I was playing the normal game, which I was raised to do. I was raised to play the standard game. I won't share that. No, that'll seem too needy. No, I can't say that I'm upset. I can't tell the real estate agent who hasn't sent my deposit refund. I can't say that I'm annoyed because that's not going to work. We've got to stop that thinking, stop ignoring the mice. Now, you're not going to just dump it on people and say, "Hey, you bastard, where's my check?" No, we're not going to do that.
Yep.
I left a message and I said, look, to be honest, I'm getting a bit annoyed and frustrated because now I'm chasing you and I hate doing that. Would you help me handle this so that I can focus on my business instead of trying to get this check back from you? There are ways to do it where you can be revealed without dumping it on the other person. It's a whole new way of living. I've been working on this for 25 years and I'm still learning. Oh, I haven't said that. That's a mouse that I can name. Oh, there's another one. Hey, I'm sorry, I haven't even been telling you what's been going on for me the last 2 weeks. I just realized I've been getting frustrated about this. And I just realized with my co-author, I am feeling some frustration and I haven't named it. So I just realized now there's a mouse. We've got different ideas about the cover and we keep going back and forward. And then I'm like, okay, I like it. Let's do it. So no, I'm still, I'm frustrated to the point I'm wondering if maybe I should buy her out so I can just do things on my own. That has not been named. And that creates rough waters in the relationship. Now, if I name it, yeah, there might still be rough waters, and even naming it, maybe she's got some frustration too. And we both get to be heard. And then we come into connection around that. Okay, we're both frustrated about it. We've both got different ideas. What are we going to do about that? Instead of just ignoring my mice and plowing through, bulldozing sometimes to try and get my way, creates disconnection.
Yeah, that's really neat. You know, you made me think of growing up. I grew up doing experiential training programs like firewalks and sweat lodges and vision quests and some of these crazy meditations where you're bending rebar with your neck, twisting silverware. I'm only bringing this up because my father would always say, or my parents would always say, you know, you got to be open to ask for things or ask someone something. What's the worst thing that'll happen? Is they say no to you.
Yeah.
Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen for the most part? You know, when you're sharing or asking a question, like when you're talking to the realtor or the agent or whatever that was, you know, dealing with you.
Yeah. So, look, this is a way of life we're talking about. So listeners, whatever level you're at, we've all got our own level of authenticity and self-expression. Even if we think, oh, I'm totally revealed. What would it be like to be 30% more courageous? What would it be like if you up-leveled and asked for what you really want 30% more? Just last week, I went to the agent. I've just moved into this apartment 2 weeks ago, and it's a fine apartment. And I'm being triggered by the noise of the elevators, which are right next door and things like that. So I went to the agent, and I didn't want to make any noise because I'm like, he doesn't want to deal with this. He's already got his commission. He doesn't want to move me somewhere else. And so there's a part of me like, just accept it.
Deal with it or accept it, right?
Yeah. And it was a desire mouse. So part of my brain said, you never know. If you just bring it up, maybe something comes up that's special, and you could hire people to move the stuff so you don't have to deal with that again, and you could be at peace. So I generated the upside. I go to him and I said it, and he found 2 top floor apartments. So I'm not going to hear anyone above me, cheaper than what I'm paying now, in a better building. And he said, but I can't get you in to see them because it's tenanted. And then once they leave, I'm still not allowed to let you in to see it until it's actually ready for move in. You're just going to have to commit and trust that it's going to be right. And I'm thinking, really, have we met? Have we met? Now, I didn't push him. I just went to those buildings, went up in the elevator, knocked on the door of 2 different buildings, 2 different apartments, and named my desire mouse. I said, hey, I'm your neighbor in another building. I'm considering moving into this apartment. Would you be okay answering a couple of questions so I don't make a mistake? Because it's really important to me where I live. Both of those people welcomed me into their home. Complete stranger in Los Angeles welcomed me in, showed me the view, told me what's great about the apartments, told me what was maybe not great, allowed me to say, oh, wow, this is a special, that's what she said. This is a special place. This is a real find. You'd be lucky to get this apartment. Went straight back to the agent, said, let's do it. I'm in. So now 25 years ago, Yeah, I was a little bit like that. My mother always said, if to get you to do something, all we had to do is tell you it can't be done. It
Yep.
was like a red rag to a bull. But it's 25 years of coaching, like being coached, that constantly drives me to say, what if? And what if we did do that? Okay, I heard a no. I've heard a no 3 times from 3 different people. Is this important enough? It is. Let's keep going and find a way. Let's find a publisher. Let's find an endorsement. Let's ask Jack again. Hey, Jack, I know you did this for my last book. Will you do it for my next book? Keep going and asking. Byron Katie says, you can have anything you want in life if you're willing to ask 1,000 people. It's a practice. And so this is what I try and do with my clients. They're all amazing people. These are successful people who've built a great business, got a great service and a product. They're intelligent, they're entrepreneurial. They're already at a certain level of authenticity and self-expression and courage. My job is to say, and I ask every week, if you were fearless, and I'm not asking you to be fearless, but if you were fearless, what would you do? And this is an exercise. Grab a pen, grab a piece of paper once you're done with this interview, or pause the interview and do it right now. Have one page that says business or work, and write, what would you do if you were fearless? What would someone else do who you admire, who never holds back and just goes for it and is out of the box? And then have another page for personal. What would you say to your partner, to your kids, to your co-workers? That's still personal. What would you say? What would you say no to? What would you ask for? It's an amazing process. I do this over months and years sometimes with my clients, but you can start right now with a piece of paper.
That's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal question to ask yourself. And I was going to say, as you're talking about business, I'm like, what about the people that don't own their businesses? But you led right into it with family, relationships, could be your health, right? So many of us are fearful to step outside of the norm, to look at being better, whether it's in any of these categories. And I think, right, it's pretty scary.
And the list is endless. It's like stepping into a whole new world. I don't really know anybody in LA. I know like three or four people. And I have no one to look after my dog when I go to these long acting classes. I could ask my neighbor who's been kind to my dog, and she's been kind to me. I could say, would you be open to having her in your place for a couple of hours, or coming and letting her out to pee? I could ask that. Mm-hmm. And in the book, we outline a process. So you don't have to go cold turkey. You don't have to go into difficult things like maybe you felt betrayed, or maybe you want to ask for a promotion, or maybe you want to ask for something in the bedroom, or maybe you want to stop doing something in the bedroom. These things can be scary. We outline what we call the 3D process, so that you can artfully name it and ideally get the result that you want, instead of creating a train wreck. So you don't have to do it alone. Mouse in the Room will show you how to do it. That's one of the reasons we don't name a lot of these mice. We have not been shown how to navigate that territory. But once you got a roadmap, okay, fill in the worksheet. Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to go off. I'm going to name my mouse with someone and connect.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I was actually going to ask, you keep answering my questions, so you're going to, stump me here. But I was going to say, is it just all theory in the book, or are there practical applications for people to just start going forward in life?
Yeah, we give a lot of examples so that you can go, oh, yeah, okay, that kind of relates to my situation. All right, I'm going to fill in a worksheet on that and go and name the mouse. And in the work scenario, I like that you said, what if you don't own your own business? There might be coworkers who are bugging you, or there might be someone that you'd like to mentor you. Maybe you do want a pay rise. I've coached a lot of clients on how to negotiate and go and name that mouse and make it a win for the other person to say, all right, we're going to do that. Maybe there's something you did wrong and you haven't confessed about it, and it weighs on you. As we accumulate these things over the years. Now, I've had a lot of coaching, and when I realized, this is incomplete, I've used the process in the 3D process I've called bullies from high school using this process. I've called the girl who dumped me twice when I was 15 and gave me the cold shoulder each time.
Hey, we're giving you a short break here where you can head down to the show notes or lifestylelocker.com and join our tribe of human-powered life heroes. You'll be the first to know about new shows, events, product launches, affiliate specials, and more. And now, back to the show.
Resented her for years, called her up, named a mouse, completed it. I'd be happy to see her at any school reunion. The bully from high school, I'm not making this up. We became friends the day that I called him and named the mouse that I've been resenting him for 20 years. We became friends that day. It's the stuff that people make movies about.
Yeah.
And I'm not blowing this out of proportion. It really is possible to go into a whole new level. And then once you do, you can never imagine going backwards.
Yeah.
It's like, it's too late.
Mm-hmm. Well, the authenticity and the vulnerability together, I think that's it's almost magnetic to people because they say, oh, you're kind of like me.
Yeah.
That's like that. I got the chance to share in front of about 450 chiropractors at a seminar. And I spoke about a guy named James Stockdale. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him, but this guy, just to make it very short, he was the first guy in Vietnam, an airplane, was shot down, was in the Hanoi Hilton, which was like one of the worst prison camps for 7 years in isolation. And what he said, I'm not going to quote it right, but he said, I realized that I'm going to have to make this the defining experience of my life so I can look at it and move forward, where a lot of other prisoners never made it through just because they just gave up. They just said, you know what, I'm in prison. I'm in, a concentration camp, if you will, and passed away. So for me, sharing about this and sharing some vulnerabilities about myself, I was like, I got off stage and people are going, oh my God, this is so cool. We're so alike. And I'm like, huh. All right. I can vibe with this. I was essentially naming Mount Mice, if you will, by speaking about this journey. And it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, there's a quote I wish I could recall. It's something about people connect with you around your imperfections, not your perfections. When you're perfect, it's like, oh, that's nice. But the imperfections, oh, you have anxiety too. Oh, you're having trouble sleeping. Oh, you're triggered by noise. Oh, you've been through anxiety and depression too. I'm naming a bunch of my mice. These are things that I've dealt with and still deal with. I'm in big transition now, and I'm having some issues sleeping, and I'm having issues with the noise. And I'm like, what did I just do? I've just moved from Boulder. When we share things like that, I just realized, I've never said this on a podcast, but I just realized, I think another impact of taking a risk to share you. And by the way, name the mouse, especially when it's hard. The easy ones, okay, great. Hey, I really appreciate the work you did. That's an appreciation mouse. Last night, you know what? I can reach out to an actor in rehearsal and say, man, you really stepped up. You came in last minute. You're already basically off book. Those are easy, but the hard ones have the biggest payoff. And I just realized, and I haven't fully let this in myself, but I've had a couple of friends tell me recently how much they love me, and they've really pushed the point. They really want me to get it. And one of them sent me a message in this last week that said, I love you desperately and profoundly. And I just want you to know that. I still haven't fully let that in. But what just came to me on this interview is that I think being yourself and taking that risk to artfully express yourself in the world, particularly things we have a bit of shame about or that we think might hurt us, that generates trust and the love and connection that I think many of us desperately want. We may not be consciously aware of it. We just know Oh, I'm feeling a bit stressed. Let me have a beer and let me smoke a little weed and let me eat some sugar and let me go and watch TV and video games and whatever. And I'll check social media. I think, and I'll speak for myself, I want love and connection and touch. We need this as human beings and we're starved for it. And this book, Mouse in the Room, is a doorway, not just a business success, which I am passionate about, but also to getting that love and connection and intimacy that we watch movies to try and get. We watch movies where people get it and go, oh, yes. We can create that step by step. And these are big words, but the book is a roadmap to that.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think there's definitely a lot of connection and discomfort. There really, really is. And it helps you align, or at least me personally, as someone that does these crazy ultra marathons, I'm around all these people that are doing things that are incredibly hard. And it's fun to be next to another man or woman. And you're in the suck, if you will, in the suffering together. And it really is, like you said before, very energizing. And that sounds crazy, but it's like, oh, you're in pain too? All right, me too. Let's keep going. Let's egg each other on. Let's excite each other. And we build a bond. I've made friends that I've spent only a few hours with on a trail out of a 100-mile race that I've stayed connected with now for 2 years, which is really cool. And it's like, just there was that bond in the discomfort, which was so powerful. And I feel like if I saw him tomorrow, we would just hit it off again, just like where we were running.
Oh, I like that. That's true. So the mind goes, oh, this is going to be uncomfortable. This person might get upset. It might be awkward, an argument. I don't really have the mind says all that, even unconsciously, and then doesn't even show you the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm hearing in what you say is that discomfort can actually bond you.
Yeah.
Once you've moved through it. Oh, okay. Well, I feel my co-author wanted to put something at the end of the book in the calls to action. And I'm a marketer. I want it to be very clear. If you want coaching or training to continue your leadership training, go here. One call to action. She wants to put a couple of nonprofits in there to support their work. And we got different values. And I got triggered. I won't say what she said because I don't have her permission, but she said something and I'm like, are you kidding? What? Now we've got a call this afternoon. I said, let's talk about this instead of texting. I'm going to talk about it. Now I've got emotions. I'm going to name my mice with consent. I'll check that she's ready to hear them. I'll name how I feel about it. She'll probably reflect it back because she's an amazing communicator. So I'm getting this, and this. Okay. Can you hear my mice? I'll be like, yeah, go. And we'll get what she's got and we'll work it out. That discomfort will bond us because we've been through that and we handled it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that. So when your mind is like, oh, I don't think I'm going to say that to my kid or my boss or my coworker or my partner, I'm encouraging you to take a risk. Now, not all mice need to be named. You don't have to go and just verbal diarrhea and blurt everything that runs through your mind unfiltered. I'm not talking about that. In the 3D process we outlined, the first D is for discover. And we've got a worksheet that you fill in. Okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm wanting. This is what's actually going on. That's gold. Just to get that clarity. Sometimes when I get that clarity, I don't even need to name it with the other person. I'm good. Oh, I'm upset. I just kind of felt disrespected, but they weren't actually disrespecting me. Okay, I'm good. Second step is decide. Should I name it? And we'll help you evaluate it. What's the upside? What's the downside? Are you willing to accept the possible consequences? Yes, I am. I'm willing to accept that if that's how it goes. Okay, great. Third step is disarm. And that's where we show you how to say it in a positive, powerful way. So it's more likely to be well received and you're more likely to get the results that you want.
Yeah. Powerful. I love it. I love it. So David, where's the best place for people to find out more about the book, about you, about what you do to help businesses and people.
Yeah, thank you. Go to mouseintheroom.com. There's no "the" at the beginning, just mouseintheroom.com. And I'd love your help in starting a mouse naming revolution. So what I'd love you to do, go and get yourself on the early notification list if Josh has released this pre-June 13, and set your alarm, because we want to create a bestseller. It's a good way to make some noise. So set your alarm for noon Pacific on June 13, if Josh has been kind enough to release this before then, and go and buy 10 to 25 books. We're going to drop the price of the Kindle version to 99 cents, right? So you can buy 15 to 25 bucks. Maximum it'll cost you is 25 bucks. You can then gift those books to your friends. And I promise you, mouse naming will be 10 times easier if your partner and your kids, your team, your boss, the staff that report to you, your friends, if they've read the book and they're also mouse naming. You can go to each other and say, hey, can I name a mouse with you? I go, oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, let's go.
It's a great idea.
So that's the first thing, is to set your alarm and go in that hour and buy multiple copies of the books. That's what apparently helps it get the bestseller. And then secondly, if you're willing to play, set an alarm for the next day, 24 hours afterwards. And if you think the book deserves a 5-star review, please leave that. And then if you're really like, hey, this really will change the world, post on social media that you went and bought the book, so your friends have an opportunity to chime in. I think that was going to really create a wave of mouse naming that can ripple throughout the world. That's what I'm up to. And mouseintheroom.com is where you can do that. There'll be a link to the Amazon book and everything on that page. And we're going to have a bunch of bonuses for you, because that's how we celebrate and motivate people. There'll be there'll be bonuses just for getting one copy of the book. And if you buy at least 10, which will cost you a whole $10, I'm really going to make it worth your while.
So let me get this straight. So we go to mouseintheroom.com. We get on this early list. We go set an alarm clock or a notification on our phone for June 13th, 12 p.m. Pacific, or I'm on Eastern,
Pacific
so 3 p.m.,
time.
right? So we got
3 p.m. Eastern. Yep.
Go buy a bunch of books, gift them to people.
Yes.
Gift them to your team, gift them to your friends and family. Then share on social and get some cool bonuses. Is that about right?
Yeah. And then a day later, if you think
give the review.
Apparently you don't leave a review straight away, because you got to check the book out, and Amazon goes, well, that's a bit suspicious. So leave it a day or two if you want. But I think a day is good. And then, if you think it deserves it, leave us a 5-star review. Apparently that helps with the algorithm. I'm actually getting excited about it. We're going to have a party on that day. We're also going to have a Zoom room open for people to report what they're doing and what's going on. We'll be tracking the status on the bestseller. It'll be almost like a telethon.
That'll be fun, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun time.
Great. So everybody, David Wood, Mouse in the Room, get set up to get this book on June 13th. And I want to thank you. And I want to tell everybody, make sure you head over to lifestylelocker.com, find this episode, and you're going to check out the next section of this podcast, video only.
Yeah. And guys, I'd say share this episode or one of your favorite episodes with a friend. If you think Josh is doing a great job, as I do, then a great way to say thank you for producing this content is to share the episode, maybe post something on social media.
Much love, David. Much love. Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Human Powered Life podcast. Make sure to head over to lifestylelocker.com to check out all the details on the show and to watch part 2 of this episode, which is only in video format. We also have this audio portion in video format if you want. Once again, I'm your host, Dr. Josh Hant, for the Human Powered Life podcast, and I'm looking forward to staying connected with you as a Human Powered Life hero. Remember to join the tribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.